Now, Jordan Merson is standing by. He is a lawyer with Merson Law. The company represents several survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. He is in New York City today. Thanks for taking the time for us here in Canada. Your reaction to this story, to this news, Jordan?
Thanks for having me. I would say it is a welcome small first step, but as someone who represents many survivors, much more is needed.
Yeah, what is that? What are they looking for when you say more is needed? What would you like to see?
Well, we represent more than 40 women with a lawsuit against the FBI as a result of the FBI's failure to act for many, many years. And right now, the US government is fighting them. And so it would be nice if the US government, now that they're apparently intending on releasing these files, would also step up for survivors and acknowledge and accept accountability and responsibility rather than fighting survivors.
What do you think could be in the files, Jordan?
I think it's going to be a lot of, I think a lot of information is already out there, right? This is something that's been in the public eye for a very long time. I think we're going to see more emails. I think we're going to see what we've already seen, just more of it.
Expecting any smoking guns, so to speak?
Well, I think any smoking guns, based on what we've seen, they're highly likely to be redacted and part of a long-standing fight. I think certainly if anything is, incriminating or harmful to anyone who's currently in power, those could certainly be redacted.
The release of the files, how do you think that might change kind of, public understanding of Jeffrey Epstein's network and the influence that he may have had, on that network and some of the rich and powerful in the U.S.?
I don't really think it's going to change much in terms of thinking that Jeffrey Epstein had a lot of connections to a lot of really powerful people. We may learn more people, but I mean, this is someone who we already know, had ties to Bill Clinton, to Donald Trump, to Prince Andrew, albeit for different reasons. But we've all seen the pictures of Jeffrey Epstein with, the highest levels of people in the world. So I don't think we're going to think, I don't think there's going to be some document that makes us think, wow, Jeffrey Epstein had connections high up. Everybody already knows that. I think we might learn of different people, and that information has already started to come out.
How challenging has this been for the survivors? Because this story has been playing out for years. It has been a real roller coaster. There has been, a lot of blocking going on of releasing this stuff. Now it's going to be released, and just kind of going through that. I know they rallied outside the Capitol in Washington on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think, on the one hand, the government is saying we want to be done with this. I mean, the reason that I think the files are now being released after not being released for so long is Trump doesn't want this as a distraction. But I think in order for him to accomplish that, there are still more than 40 survivors with a lawsuit against his government. So if he truly wants to give the survivors peace, the government should accept accountability and responsibility. And until then, the survivors think, okay, it's a small step in the right direction, but what about us? Like, we have claims, valid claims against the FBI, and instead of the federal government stepping up and accepting accountability and responsibility, they're fighting them. And on like procedural technicalities that in our view have very little merit.
One last question just about the timeline here, and I was talking to my reporter a moment ago about this, but in your estimation, when you think we may see, assuming the president does sign this into law later today, when we would see those files being released?
Well, my understanding is the legislation, assuming it's not tweaked at this point, calls for files to be released within 30 days. However, there's always some wiggle room, right? Like you've already heard, they need to be reviewed, they need to be redacted. We're getting different information about, when the release may be. And just because, files have to be released in 30 days, you could get, what we call a rolling production. There could be some files that are released and then some files get released down the line. But I think it's pretty clear that the American public and the world really want to see what these files are and or what's in them, and they really want the survivors to get justice. I mean, the public in America and Canada and the world, we get media inquiries, obviously, from everywhere. And people really want to see these survivors get justice. They think they were victimized and they've repeatedly been victimized and re-traumatized. And, the lawsuit that we have against the FBI, we were hopeful for a much different response from the federal government than what we've got so far, but maybe things will change now.
Hey, it's great to have you. I know it's got to be super busy these days, but I really appreciate you taking time for us in Canada, Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jordan Merson is with Merson Law in New York. He represents dozens of survivors